So the parsha today is Toldot, and in Toldot, Rebecca is pregnant. There are twins in her belly. They're already fighting. They're already at each other. And she says to God, like, why? You know, if like Lama, what does she say? She says like Lama Ani or something like that, like why me or why, like, what is this all for me? And God says, well, you've got two different nations in your womb, and they will be, I mean, basically sets up the dynamic for them to be enemies. Oh, this was Marley's Parsha. Nice. And then the babies are born, and we have this parental favoritism is kind of a big good morning. So a big theme of the Parsha that may sit wrongly with us is this, oh, the father loves this son and the mother loves this son. And they really play up the differences. These boys are really different. One is an outdoors guy and strapping and hunting and meat. And one is this sweet, calm, quiet indoors boy who loves his mother and sits in the kitchen and cooks stew. And as parents, we know our kids are inherently very unique and they're their own people. But the way we read it in this parsha is so divisive. It's like, it doesn't focus on any similarities at all. We only hear that there's animosity, that they're so different and that, antagonize each other. And Jacob is like, I'll only give you stew. I won't share. I won't give you anything unless you give me everything that's due to you, your birthright. It's an extreme form of really toxic family dynamic. But here's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the truth that is underneath that, which is that we as human beings, and this is in yogic terminology, we have attachments and aversions, right? There are things we really like and we gravitate towards because they're easy or they bring us pleasure, or, I like these things and I find that easier to be with, to relate to. It's more calming for me and I'm attracted to that. So there are those things we like and we, want. And then there are the things that are hard for us that we have an aversion to. I don't like these kinds of things. I just don't want to go there. If I can avoid it, I'm going to avoid it. Maybe that looks like certain people, certain characteristics and traits. The deeper truth of that is that we all have both within us, right? Like a lot of times the things that we see in others that we point a finger to that we think, oof, I don't like that. It's like, that old, it's silly, but like that saying, like when you point a finger out to someone else, you got three fingers pointing back to you. And that goes into like psychology, and like in Jungian psychology, they talk about the shadow. It's like what we project out to others or really have a strong aversion to in others. Usually that's actually showing us something about ourselves that we haven't accepted or integrated or refused to look at within ourselves. So whatever it is that Isaac sees in Esau, it's like he's attached to that. He likes that. He's aspiring to, this is the son, because he has the taste of meat in his mouth. And whatever Rebecca likes in Jacob, okay, so they have their favorites, but this rejection of what we don't like or what's uncomfortable for us is not so healthy, right? It's not healthy. And in the Torah Parsha, it leads to one boy wanting to kill the other boy, and trickery and deception and all this underhanded behavior. So what would it look like to, instead of kind of going in only what we like, avoiding what we don't like, what if we like allowed for both? So that's my idea for the yoga practice today. What if we acknowledge in the poses, in the practice, what we really like acknowledging it, but with awareness. But then also don't avoid the things we don't like and acknowledge that with awareness. What don't I like about it? Why don't I like it? What is difficult or challenging for me here? What am I learning about being present to that? What is it here to show me or teach or reveal to me? So that we can integrate what's hard for us on a physical level, on a emotional level, whatever arises in the poses. So having said that, I want to hear from you guys. What are some of the things that you love in yoga? Yes, I always do this when I practice. I love this pose. Those are our attachments, right? What are the things you hate in your yoga pose or in your own body and addressing because it's hard or you'd rather avoid it? And I want to hear those because we definitely need to go there today. Okay, so any feedback so I could put together a good practice?
I don't like sun salutation.
Okay.
I'm stiff. I don't move quickly. And I just don't like it.
So actual flow between like flow. Okay. All right. Anything else that people hate or look? Go ahead, Marlene.
I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
Chair.
Chair pose.
Me too. I was going to say chair.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have
But
a
it
block
helps when,
nearby?
Robin, it helps when you say that you hate it too.
You know what? Chair, not my favorite pose. Definitely a pose I tend to avoid. A block, I like practicing it with a block. It makes it more palatable for me. So if you have a block nearby, we could do chair. Anything else? Love?
I love flow, Carol. I love not having to stay in a pose. I find it really hard staying in a pose for a long time.
So that's a really interesting, that's an Isaac Rebecca thing right there. I love the flow. No, I hate the flow. I want to, I like to stay in a pose. No, I hate to stay in a pose. So we'll practice a little bit of both, holding poses, flowing. We'll throw in a chair. Anything else that's like delicious that you love that you.
I love all the hip openers.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Sharon.
I was going to say the same thing. I find pigeon delicious, which is crazy because a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. So one person's, what is one person's garbage is another person's treasure. All right. So good. Let's have fun. So let's begin this way. I know you've been sitting for a while. So first, just to kind of readjust and move and open the hips. And then we'll do a little bit of breathing practice, if that's okay. You may need a tissue, especially if you're stuffy this morning. So just first, like circling through, just kind of easing out the sit bones, the hips a little bit. If you need, when you're sitting, depending on my hips are really open, right? But if your hips are not so open and even sitting here feels like a strain, use blocks underneath. So you're sitting, but then kind of wherever you're not hitting the floor, you can, wedge so that you now can let the, your body rest against something. Okay. So sometimes what gives us the ability to be with something we don't like or is difficult is finding some way to mitigate the awfulness of it. Right? It's like, okay, I don't love this pose. My hips don't love it. It's hard. What can I do to make it a little easier, a little more palatable so I can just be with it? Thanksgiving's coming up. So family dynamics. It's like, okay, there are certain people who will not be named in our families who we have less, their energy and our energy don't match so well, right? How do we let ourselves be okay in those situations, right? Instead of being like, no, don't invite Uncle so-and-so. I can't be, all right. So now what I want you to do is find a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. If you want, you can sit up on a block, sometimes, or on a blanket just to elevate your hips a little bit. Okay. We're going to do something called alternate nostril breathing. This is about bringing ourselves into balance. I'm wearing my balance shirt today. Right? Because it's like all this way or all that way, and we're trying to find some way of bringing it all into integration. This is called Nadi Shodhana, which is a way of balancing out the nostrils and the energy. It's thought in yoga that you have two channels and they crisscross at the chakras. One is the more active masculine energy, one is the more calming receptive. What you're going to do is you're going to fold down the third and fourth fingers. Wait, is that right? Wait, hold on. How do I want to do this? Yeah, fold down your pointer and your middle finger. It's kind of like this, like that whole hang 10 kind of thing. Okay, no, it feels weird. You're gonna place your nose up against the nostril. And I'm not gonna alternate. Usually just do it with your right hand, whichever is your dominant hand. You're gonna inhale through the open nostril. And then you're gonna gently, not tight, but you're gonna gently place these other two fingers against that nostril so it kind of closes it off. And you retain the inhale there. Then you lift the thumb away from the other side and you exhale through the open nostril on that side. Then you inhale through that open side. Again, you gently close off. And when you're ready to exhale, you release these fingers, exhale through the other side. So you're inhaling, pinch, exhaling opposite, inhaling, pinch, exhale opposite. You're just gonna stay with this. I know it feels weird, especially if it's the first time you've done it. You may notice that where you're beginning is that one side feels much more closed off than the other. As you continue, it's actually gonna help balance and open both nostrils so your kind of that energy is integrating. You might find yourself allowing the breath to lengthen, meaning you're slowing down as you're calming down, so the breath is not in a rush. Yeah, you need a tissue, good way to clear out. If you'd like to add to this now, what you might imagine is that every time you inhale, you're actually then going to bring your gaze to your third eye point and maybe imagine an infinity symbol there. So you inhale, you close off and you pause, and it's like you're circulating and actually kind of integrating the energy there at the third eye. And then you exhale it back down out. Again, inhale up. You're mixing opposites. You're mixing opposites and bringing it together. Good. The next time you exhale, you can release the hands completely. Let both hands rest on your lap. And with your eyes closed, I just want you to set some intention in your practice relating to notice something that you have a little bit of an aversion to. Could be some task on your to-do list that you continually avoid, put off. It could be something in the house. It could be a person who it's like, I don't like this. Just notice it. Nothing to do about it. No reason. You don't have to justify it. Why you're totally right to hate this thing. Just notice it and continue to breathe calmly. Maybe you can relax your face muscles, relax your shoulder muscles. And just notice what it is about that thing or that person that just irritates you or makes you uneasy. Again, you're just noticing it, but in the moment, your breath and your body are still calm and easy. And maybe if you choose, set an intention to have some new insight or some new way of relating to this thing or this person through this practice today. All right. When you are ready, you're going to come over onto your hands and knees. Check out your fingers. Make sure that you have a nice good grip and they're spread on the ground. And your choice, you can either circle through the hips or you can do some cat and cows on a more linear. Oh, oh, I love it when you do your first cat cow and things just crack into place. So move how your body is asking you to move. Another way of saying that is, oh, what feels good? Follow that. So that's actually about kind of tapping into like, what do I like in this moment? What's drawing me in because it feels good? Make sure you're still breathing. Good. From here, just sit back for a moment in a child's pose. If you do have an issue with your knees and that's not appropriate for you, you can do something else that is. So when I talk about things that we have aversions to, that's not the same as having an actual injury and protecting your body, right? I'm not saying go to the thing that hurts, you know, on a physical level. So adjust how you need, right? If you need to bring something behind your knees, to sit back. So just breathe here. Notice what in your body is feeling good, what in your body maybe is not feeling as good. And if there's anything in your body that's not feeling so good here, can you keep your presence and your awareness with that, right? Our tendency is very much to avoid going deeper into discomfort, right? We seek pleasure, we avoid pain. That's human nature. So when we notice discomfort, we immediately want to leave that and go to the thing that feels more pleasurable. But what gift or wisdom is there in just learning to not be so reactive and to be with what we don't like quite so much? All right, from here, you're going to come up onto hands and knees again. You're going to tuck your toes. And the knees lift up off the ground, and you're in your first down dog. And you can pedal through the heels. You can stay as long as you like, stretch. Maybe you bend both knees, lift your tailbone up high, let your head hang low. Just feeling like the energy from your low back is kind of cascading down. So really tilt that tailbone up high, stretch through the tush a little bit. And then you can begin to straighten through the legs again. You can come up on the tiptoes and press back, see how that feels. Good. All right, walk your feet towards your hands. Again, we're just warming up, so there's no need to straighten the legs yet. Keep an easy bend in the knee. Just shake yourself out here. And then draw the belly muscles in as you stand all the way up. All right, we're gonna do a little flow. So you're either gonna love it or hate it or somewhere in between, but your job is to stay present as you can as we move. Sorry, I really don't know how to get my head on the screen. Like, let's see. Okay. So hands to your heart, your feet are somewhere underneath your hips. Okay. Inhale, arms sweep up to the sky. As you exhale, bend the knees as you float forward and down over the legs. Inhale, halfway up, you're just drawing the belly in and trying to flatten out the back. Those elbows can hug into the side a little bit. Neck is nice and long. As you exhale, float back down over the legs. Inhale, big sweep all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands down to your heart. We'll do one more like that before moving back. Inhale. As you exhale, float forward. Inhale, halfway to lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to the sky and hands back down to your heart. Okay. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, float down over. You guys look so great. Inhale, halfway. The halfway has a purpose. You're lengthening the spine to get ready to step back. So keeping that length in the spine, bend your knees a little deeper. This is actually preparation for our chair pose. So your butt is back behind you. Your knees are over your ankles. You're not like this. That's what that flat back is doing. From there, fingertips can come to the floor and you're going to step your right leg all the way back behind you for a lunge. Good. You're going to come up here for your high lunge. Good. And you're going to float it back down to the ground. We're doing the sun salutation, but a little bit slow motion here. We'll do it full in a minute. You're going to step your front foot back to meet your back leg. So now you're in a plank push-up pose. Good. Lower the knees down. Slow, 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 like a reverse push-up. Like you're resisting coming down. So all of your triceps here, elbows hug in. Slow, slow, slow. Belly is hugging in. And come down to the ground. You can untuck your toes. Hands are underneath the shoulders. Again, fingers spread, elbows hugging in. All 10 toes are on the ground. You're just going to gently push down into the floor. Keep hugging those elbows, squeeze into the midline. Belly pulls in and up. Don't overstrain the neck, and you're not straightening the arms. That feels not so good in your body. You're just coming up where you can. This is mostly a mid-back and a tricep workout, as well as an ab stretch. Good. Lower down. Take a moment. You can shake your legs side to side. Notice that this feels easy. This is an easy place to stay and rest. You're going to come back to your hands and knees, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. This part might be a little challenging, but we're going to come up on the tiptoes. You can take your right leg back behind you, pull the knee into the nose, shoulders move forward over the wrist, and you're stepping that right foot up to the front. Now that's a lot of core control, so you might need to just kind of help yourself get there. That's okay. Once you get there, you plant the foot, spread the toes, come on up for your lunge on this side. Good. And we're going to go deeper into the hip openers in a moment, but I just want to bring us through a just basic flow. Good. Hands to the ground. Step your back foot up. Come halfway in the spine. Yes, perfect. Float down over again. And then inhale all the way back up. And hands to your heart. Okay, so now we're going to do that on one breath. So that's the part that Carol hates. That's okay, Carol. Not hate, but it's challenging. It's challenging. So just be with what challenges you. That's okay. Be with what challenges you. Notice what shows up in your breath, in your mind, the resistance to that. And the idea is like, can I just be harmonious with this? All right, I think we're going to do 2 rounds of it. So inhale, arms to the sky, smile on your face. Exhale, fold over. Inhale, halfway lengthen. Bend those knees. We're almost like in a chair pose here. Fingertips to the floor. Step your right leg back behind you. Inhale, big, big, big. Maybe a little bit of a back bend, leaning back. So you're opening that hip. Good. Exhale, all the way to the ground. Step your front foot back. Good. As you exhale, lower down to the ground. I forgot to cue the inhale, but I hopefully you all breathed. Inhale here to that low cobra pose. Exhale, bend the knees. You're coming into your down dog. Good. Take a few breaths in your down dog. Notice if the breathing actually makes the pose easier, makes you more calm, more patient. On your next inhale, look up between the hands. As you exhale, you're taking that right foot, stepping it all the way forward. Your left heel is up and reaching straight back. And you're gonna come on up for your lunge here. Good. Exhale your hands to the ground. Step the back foot up. Inhale halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to the sky. Exhale, fold all the way back down. We're gonna do one more side. Inhale, halfway, lengthen. Good, fingertips to the floor, butt back. You're gonna take that left foot, reach it straight back behind you. That heel stays up. Inhale, high lunge. Good, exhale, fold. Inhale, step the front foot back to plank. Exhale, either chaturanga or all the way to the belly, knees down, whatever you prefer. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog if that's in your practice. Exhale, downward facing dog, hips high, head low. Take a few breaths here. A big part of yoga and of mindfulness or meditation practice is teaching us to control our own reactions and responses to whatever we perceive as external stimulus. So we don't like something outside of us. That's how it feels. How do we respond? How do we react? And this is teaching us to be patient with that. Look forward between your hands on an inhale. Exhale, left foot steps all the way up. Bend the knee. Inhale. Smile. Exhale, float it down. Step your back foot up, flat back. Exhale, fold down. Bend your knees deeply. Here it comes, Amy's chair. So bend your knees really deeply. Now, if you have a block nearby, that block can go between the inner thighs. Right? And then you're peeling the torso up and back slightly. So I'll show you from the side. It's not, the knees are not forward of the ankles, okay? The knees are above the ankles, the butt is moving back. And the block just gives you a guideline of this wrapping in. So you feel that these thighs are wrapping in towards each other. That's what helps it open the outer hips. And you're just sitting your tush back a little bit. Your arms don't have to be all the way high by your ears. They could be forward, they could be here. And then what you're trying to do is, as much as you can, peel, and lengthen the belly and the torso up and away slightly. And you might need to go deeper into the tush to do that. It's not a fun pose. So just be here and breathe. You can bring your hands to your heart. Maybe that makes it more palatable. Good, straighten all the way up. Woo! Oh my gosh, is your heart beating? Anybody else's heart beating? I mean, hopefully your heart's beating. I meant more like pounding. All right, since we have the block between our thighs, let's just do this for a moment. Because balance is another place where we get really, it's not so pleasant sometimes because we're confronting our own failure and lack of perfection when it comes to balance. But the block is going to help here. So squeeze the block, inner thighs. You can bring hands to your heart, wherever you want your hands. You're trying to come up into a toe balance. So you're lifting your heels. This is really good practice to strengthen all the muscles in your feet. Yeah, just notice all the wiggle wobbles. It's okay. Yeah. So what might show up here is an aversion to failure, an aversion to looking silly, an aversion to not being able to control things you want to control. Whatever shows up for you, just again with like a curious open mind. I'm all over the place in my balance today. It's all right. Whee. All right, and then you can let go of the block. All right, now we are gonna do, let's do another flow because we can, because it hits the awkward chair, it hits the flow as well as hitting all your hip poses. So we're gonna do what's called a B series. Actually, I haven't done this with you guys in a really long time, so you'll follow me. We're gonna go through, it's a B sun salutation series through all the warrior poses, and it starts with an awkward chair. So you're going to inhale and sit down into an awkward chair. That's where you begin. Okay. As you exhale, you straighten your legs, dive down over the legs. Inhale halfway up to that flat back. Good. Now on your exhale, you're placing both hands to the ground and step both feet into a plank pose. Okay. From there, you're going to lower down into your push-up, maybe halfway, maybe all the way. Good. Inhale, either cobra. If you went halfway, you're lifting to that up dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Take your right leg up to the sky. Look between your hands. On the exhale, that right foot comes all the way forward. You might need to help it up. Your back foot is turning down on an angle. And you're coming up to a warrior one first. So both arms lifting straight up overhead, a variation on a lunge. The lunge, we usually have the foot here that opens the front of the hip flexor. When you place the foot down, we're actually trying to open this outer hip. Okay? Little bit of a flow right here. Just straighten the front leg and bend. Straighten the front leg and bend. Straighten the front leg, bend. I'm actually adding on, so let's just do this. Turn your palms away from you. Reach the hands behind your back. One inhale, like reach those hands, the fists down your back leg, open up into the lungs. Open up and breathe. Notice how that feels. To have your lungs that open, to have your chest and your heart that exposed. This is a little bit counter to our natural human inclination. We tend not to back bend. We tend to fold over and protect in the front of the heart. So just notice. Good. Let's take the arms back up overhead. And now you're going to open the pose into a warrior two. So from your warrior one, you're just kind of spinning it open. Now you might want to go deeper. I always adjust my back foot a little bit farther back for this pose because now we're opening the inner hips and the inner thighs. So you want to give yourself space. There you go. Smile. You got this. Go an inch deeper into the front knee. You're not going past the ankle, but if you're like way up here, you got a lot of space where you can come forward, forward, forward to line up that heel. Notice how it feels to be that deep into the pose. You're not going to hold this forever. So can you just be with it for now? Good. From here, you're going to cartwheel the hands back down to the floor. Step back to your plank pose. Choice of lowering down, up dog or cobra, or choice to do a push-up, maybe a few push-ups, whatever you want in between. And then you're going to come into your down dog. Good. Left leg lifts up to the sky. You're going to step it forward. Yeah, look up, step it forward. Good. Turn the back foot down. You're coming into that warrior stance on the second side. So this back hip wants to kind of follow the direction of the foot, but you're resisting that and drawing that outer hip forward. That's what's going to help open the IT band and the outer hip. Right here, either hands up, hands to the side, whatever you want. You're going to straighten and bend just 3 times just to start creating length in that outer leg on that back leg. Good. Straighten and bend. The last time you get in there, you can find that full expression of the pose, that little bit of that opening back bend. Notice the tendency again to back out of the depth of the front knee. See if you can let yourself go there. Just for this round, hands can come behind your back. Again, you can just open up the chest. If you want something really disconcerting, switch the way that your fingers are interlaced. So we always do it the way that's comfortable. It's just automatic. Switch your fingers the way that feels weird. It's like, oh, I don't like that. That feels so weird. That's not the right way. There's no wrong or right. There's just what we naturally gravitate to and what we naturally avoid. So becoming present to what we avoid and how it makes us feel if we go there instead. Good. Release the arms. And from here, you're opening the pose to that warrior two. Again, you might want to get a little wider. See if you can allow yourself to go deep. Don't let that front knee pitch in though. Make sure that that front knee is reaching straight forward over the middle two toes. There's this feeling that these inner thighs are wrapping back. Your tush is lengthening down underneath you. You're not, reaching it out. There you go. Hang out there. Smile if you can. Good. Nice. Breathe. And then you're going to cartwheel the hands to the ground, pivot off that back foot. Plank pose. Options to add on here. You can take a side plank with any variation, both feet to the floor, the top foot stacked. You can maybe lift that top foot, you're in a star. Whatever you like here, just play. Good. Maybe a push-up in between, trying the other side. And then come back to that plank, and you're going to let yourself lower all the way to the ground, all the way onto your belly. Good. Okay. Yep, I see some of you bending the knees and flip-flopping the legs. That's fine. Do that. You can make a pillow, little cushion for your head here. Okay. You're going to extend both legs behind you and then re-bend through the right knee and reach back for that right ankle. You can keep your head low here at first. If you needed to kind of move your knee out to the side in order to find the clasp, see if you can then bring it back in line behind the hip and next to the other knee. If you're so tight in your hamstrings, that's okay. Don't worry, it's just where you are. But you might want to get a strap or a tie, and that can help you find the connection there. So you can, find the more space to connect. Okay. Now that you're hanging out there and stretching the quad a little bit, let's stretch it a little more. So getting out of the comfort zone and making it more intense. So your left elbow can come under the left shoulder. You can kind of kickstand the hands and press into the floor and come up higher. Yep. So reach that heel into your tush, maybe flex the toes away from you. That activates the front of the quad slightly differently. And now, if you want to go even a little more intense into the thing that, is scary, you can push the floor away and lift up out of that arm. So, first of all, you're strengthening your arm muscles here, but you're going to feel this big time into that quad. Yeah? Do we like this? How are we doing? Yeah. Okay, lower it back down for a second. Flip flop side to side. Extend the right leg, bend the left knee, same thing. You can start nice and low. Can't really see anybody in this and everybody's on their floor, but that's okay. So now if you want to go up a little higher, get that elbow underneath you. Right, so now it's kind of, it is like the three Goldilocks. I was gonna say it's like mama bear, papa bear, baby bear. Like we did the baby bear on the floor, which was okay, it was just right. And then we're doing the mama bear and it's maybe a little too lumpy. And then we're gonna do the papa bear and it's like, yeah. So the papa bear is to really push down into the hands, lift up even higher, belly draws in. Your back, the extended leg, those toes are pressing down into the ground. Your tailbone is also kind of curving down to the ground. So the pelvic bone is down, but the upper pelvis is lifted, belly in. Woo! I hope this is what you wanted, Amy, into your hips. Those hip flexors, yeah. Okay, reach it out, make a little pillow for your head, and just rest here. Take a few deep breaths, especially into the low back. Feel like your breath is going into the bottom of the lungs and just expand and massage your lower back with your breath. All right, as you're ready, get your hands down onto the ground. You're gonna bring yourself into a tabletop. You're gonna tuck the toes, lift the hips high, head down, down dog. All right, you're totally prepped for this pose. So you have a choice of what you want to do with it. I'm just gonna show it to you, but we're gonna do a flipping the dog, or sometimes called wild thing pose. We just opened everything you would need to do for that. So from your downward facing dog, you're gonna lift your right leg up high to the sky. And you can all do that first, right? Just lift the leg up high, get a nice split. You're stretching the standing leg hamstring, but you're also getting those inner thighs. You can circle the ankle one way and the other here in this pose. And then you're gonna just bend that knee. Sorry, I'm trying to make it so you can see. You're gonna bend that knee and let the heel drop behind you, okay? So this is a twister stretch. You can stay here, okay? The other option is to have a little bit of faith and to have a little bit of sense of adventure. You're gonna let that foot keep dropping behind you. The bottom foot comes to its edge. And now you find that foot behind you. Hips are lifted. You can lift this arm to the sky. You can lift this arm overhead. You can keep the hands on the hip, whatever's good for you. Pushing down into both feet, lifting the hips. So we opened the front of these hip flexors, the quads. Now we're working the oblique strength here, the belly, the arms. Good. And then to come back out of it, you're gonna look to the floor, get that hand down and spin yourself back. Find your downward facing dog. Shift your hips side to side for a moment, shake it out. And then second side, so your left leg will lift up high, maybe even a little higher. Maybe you come onto tiptoes on the standing foot, whatever you want. Feel the inner thigh stretch here. And then you gently bend that knee. Now you're in a twister stretch. Think about lengthening the knee away from you. You should feel a good stretch in that side waist, actually. Woo, like opening there. Yeah, so you naturally would fall into the other pose anyway. So the bottom foot turns, you bring that foot behind you, and you're lifting the hips as much as you're able, and reach it up. And breathe into this lung, because you're making a lot of space in that lung, so breathe. The bottom waist is contracted. That's nice oblique work. And then you look down and flip it back over. Again, bring yourself into a down dog for a moment. Woo. And from your down dog, you're going to bend both knees. Tailbone up high, bend both knees, look forward. If you do not want to jump up to your hands, then just walk one foot after the other. Or you can spring both feet up towards your hands. Good. Inhale halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold down over the legs. Bend the knees deeply, send your hips back behind you, and peel yourself up for a chair. This is the bookend of that salutation. We come back through our chair pose. So you can love to hate it, you can hate to love it. Be with it, breathe. Give yourself 2 more deep breaths in this pose. And then stand yourself up. Bring your hands down over your heart. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your heart beating. Check back in with that intention that you said at the beginning. What is that thing in your life that creates some tension for you that you would rather avoid? But after having gone through some of these flow practices, is there anything showing up for you that can have you be more present to that thing? All right, we're gonna do one more standing pose before we bring the practice down to the ground. So we're gonna go for a dancer pose, which you are very, very primed for at this point. So you find yourself standing up, nice and tall. remember that sensation of standing with the blocks between your thighs when we did that tiptoe? Remember, feel as if you have that block there. So there's this hugging into the midline, right? Good. From here, hands to your heart, smile on your face. That part's free and easy. Come up on your tiptoes. See how well you can do here, just balancing. Yeah. Good. So this involves everything, your feet, your legs, your belly, especially core. Relax the shoulders if you can. Keep the heart open. Keep the face soft. And then lower down. Shake it out for a moment. Okay, dancer pose. You're going to bend the right knee and reach for your ankle behind you. And look down and make sure your knee isn't coming forward of your other knee. So it doesn't look like this. The knee is in line with the other knee. And actually, the more open you are, the knee is going to come slightly, you're pushing that foot back, the knee comes slightly behind the other knee. So this is all that quad stretching that we've been doing. Good. And then once you're there, you can decide what to do with your other arm. You can keep it straight out, like as a kind of lever for balance. Or if you'd like, you can begin to pivot using your hips. So you're just taking the same pose, but pivoting it forward. Yeah. So again, find a point to look at that's not moving so that you can hold steady. Notice if you like this, don't like this, whatever is showing up for you in your mind, just let it. I think the mind gets very noisy sometimes, especially in balancing poses. Can you use the breath to calm the mind? Good. Come out of it as gracefully as you can. Shake it out. Yeah. And then as you're ready, you'll do the other side. If we can remember to use the breath as a tool to help us stay grounded, calm, less reactive in situations that stress us, that's a great starting point, right? If that's the only thing we ever took from our yoga practice was, okay, how do I just stay calm in the present moment with whatever I am experiencing? We would be light years ahead in terms of our relationships with our life itself and with other people. Like, okay, can I just breathe? Can I just be aware? What am I feeling? Let me notice it. Let me not respond to it. Let me just notice it. Keep breathing. And come on out of that when you're ready. Shake it out a little bit. Okay, bye. All right. So from here, let's bring the practice down onto the mat. And let's do a pigeon. Okay, so variations on pigeon. Hold on, what did I just do? So
Robin,
you can, yeah.
Robin, I'm leading a meeting, so I have to go.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Bye. Have a great
Bye-bye.
day. Okay, so a couple ways to get into your pigeon. One way is to start from hands and knees, and you're just going to take that right knee forward, kind of behind the right wrist, but slightly wider. So one thing I don't like in pigeon is a lot of times people set the knee up right in the middle. That's not such a great alignment for the hips. I think you need to give yourself a little bit more space. Okay, and then this foot comes in front of the other thigh, only as high as you are open and able to do that. You don't have to force it. And then you can kind of inch that back leg back, right? And again, you can either come to forearms, you can come all the way down. If you have a block or a bolster, you can bring that under the belly. That can elevate you. If you need to, if that back hip is way up off the ground, sometimes people put a block under that hip. What I prefer actually is if you have like a rolled up towel or blanket, put that under both hips. So now you're bringing the whole floor up under both hips, and that gives you something elevated and soft to sit, to level on. And you fold yourself forward and you hang out. And again, either this feels delicious to you and you're like, yes, my hips need this so much, or this feels really challenging. Again, that's different than pain. If this is not appropriate to you because of some hip or knee limitation, don't force yourself there. The variation for that would be to do a figure 4 stretch from your back, right? Much less intense, and you can control the depth of that, right? That versus having your whole body weight downward on that. If you want to play in the pigeon with what in this feels good, what in this is like the edge at which it no longer feels good, and that's not, you can play with different positioning of your torso. So what happens if you gently kind of twist your torso in the direction of the bottom foot and reach out that way? Notice what that does. That's going to be a much bigger stretch into the outer hip and the low back on that side. You can stay there for a little bit. You can also take the twist towards the knee. The way you can do that, yeah, you can reach over with both again, or you can slide that bottom arm across and through, coming down towards the shoulder. You may need to prop for your head, but that's going to definitely intensify it into the tush, into the glute, in a way that it doesn't if you're just going straight. And what is your breath doing here in the pose? You're still breathing. If you would like to add on the quad stretch here, you can bend that back knee, reach back for that back ankle. Yep. We've already done a lot of quad stretching and hip flexor stretching, so you might have access to this. You might need to get a strap around the foot, which is easier said than done. But if you can find that strap, you can use that to pull in. Yeah, if you have the strap, you might even play with spinning that shoulder up and open. That's going to open the whole front body as well. Yeah. And notice if this is a pose you do not often go to on your own, that's avoidance, right? Like, why do I avoid the more challenging aspect of this pose, and I sort of only stay in the part of the pose I like that feels yummy? Why do I do that? I wonder, maybe there's something to look at there. All right, you're gonna swing that bottom leg across. Agni Sambhasana. It's fire log pose, ankle over knee, knee over ankle. This may not be what yours looks like. You may be here, you may be a little in front, you may not be able to, this might be way high, hiked up. You can sit up on a blanket or block, or prop something under that knee to have it somewhere to sit, okay? Fire log pose, big, big hip opener, outer hip opener. You can just stay upright. Even sitting in this pose, upright, belly engaged, shoulders down, chest open. That's work. That's work. Okay. If you're more open and you're able to go a little bit forward, you can gently walk the fingertips forward wherever you can. You're now hinging out of those hips. This is a big low back, glute, outer hip stretch. And you can come forward in that pose. Wherever you are, just breathe and notice. You also don't have to get stuck in the pose. You can shimmy your hips side to side. You know, what helps you stay present and not run away? Like, what isn't in the Torah that's also happening in that household? Like, how does Isaac try to make connections with Jacob? In what ways is he like, okay, this boy, I don't really relate to him the way I relate to the other, but how do I get to know him? Maybe they play cards at the kitchen table, you know? Maybe they connect by telling stories. Maybe they like the same Netflix show. Like, we don't hear that part. We just hear that he loves Esau. But that doesn't mean he's not being present for Jacob. The same thing with Rebecca. She nursed both of them. You know, she feeds them both and clothes them both and says goodnight to them both, and, you know, is protective as a mother is protective. So we don't hear that, but that's what we're looking at. All right, we're going to switch and we're almost out of time. We are out of time. Sorry, I ran over, but we need to go the other side. All right. So if you need to leave, I apologize. Go to the other side for yourself. If you have an extra 5 minutes, let's just do that. All right. So you're in your pigeon. You're going to stay there. When it gets too easy, too comfortable, you've adapted too much, you're going to play with taking it into the side stretch and into the twist. See if you can come back to that even breathing that we did at the beginning. Can you keep your breath even and long and relaxed here? And how does that support you to be present? And if you attempted the quad stretch on the other side, you can come up and attempt that quad stretch here. Right, so you're just bending the back knee. Again, you don't want that knee to come out to the side. You want to try to stay on that center seam of that front thigh if you can. Yeah, whatever that looks like for you. And then you can swing that back leg over, trying to rest the ankle across the top of the thigh above the knee. And then the other knee is resting over the bottom ankle. And make whatever adjustments you need in your pose here. Yeah. And then just sitting up and breathing, or hinging it forward where it's appropriate for you, that it brings you just outside of your comfort zone so that you can stay in that uncomfortable place and breathe for just a moment. And as you're ready to come out of that, if you need to lie down for Shavasana, I'll invite you to do that. Because we're so over time, I'll just end by, let's just sit up for a moment, palms in our laps, close your eyes. Feel free to take your Shavasana for as long as you need, but just take a couple of breaths here. Hineni, Hineni, I'm here right now in this body, in this moment. And really feel from inside of yourself and sort of see from outside of yourself that you are whole. Like you are whole, one complete being. The inhale fills all of you and expands you, and the exhale recenters and grounds you. Se shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, val kol Yisrael, val kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. May we all be blessed as we go into our day. Thank you so much for joining. All right, guys, have a great week. Does anybody want the link to the video? I've only been sending it to like people who've been missing. Does anybody want the link, or you're good?
I'm good.
Actually, Robin, it's Karen. I would love the link.
Okay.
I didn't know that I've been doing a reverse penguin as one of my regular stretches.
Oh, okay. Well, pigeon.
I watched today and
Me
tried
too.
the other one, which was fine too. I'm going to need to do both now.
Great, good. I'm glad you got something good. All right,
None of
have a
those
great
cute.
day,
I like
everybody.
that all
Thank
the
you
animal
all.
names in yoga,
Thank
these stretches
you.
that
Yep, bye.
I do similarly.
Good.
Bye.
Yep.
Anyways, if you get a chance, if you could send me the link for that, I will watch closer and